My name is Sarah. I'm sitting in my apartment, the silence broken only by the ticking of the clock on the wall. It's been a while since the chaos, but the memories still sting. I remember the day it all came crashing down, when I saw that Instagram post that changed everything. It was a normal Tuesday. I was on my lunch break at work, half listening to my co-workers chatting about their weekend plans while mindlessly scrolling through Instagram. And then, there it was. A warm, artsy photo of a morning latte with a minimalist quote graphic and soft beige filters. The post was from my boyfriend, Jake Thompson, a 25-year-old guy I'd been with for 3 years. We'd moved in together a year ago because it just made sense. We were always at each other's places anyway. His caption read, "Single until someone earns my love. I'm a king who deserves the best." I stared at the screen until it dimmed. I wasn't confused. The signs had been there for weeks, even months. Jake had been going out more with the guys, spending more time in the bathroom with his phone. He'd casually flip it face down when I walked by, as if I was a threat. And those little remarks, always wrapped in a laugh, were like daggers. "You're so stuck in your routine, Sarah. You never do anything exciting anymore." As if I hadn't planned date nights after long shifts or bought him small gifts just because I thought of him. In that moment, I did the only thing that felt right. I didn't cry or message him privately. I commented, "Best of luck." My thumb hovered for a split second before I hit post. A part of me hoped he'd delete it and claim it was a mistake. But as soon as I sent the comment, a cold clarity washed over me. Within 30 seconds, I changed my relationship status to joyfully single on my profile, tagged him, and made it public. His post disappeared in less than a minute. I knew it wasn't because he regretted it, he'd just been caught. My phone started ringing like crazy. Jake called again and again, followed by unknown numbers. Then I got a message from Lily, a friend of his I'd met a few times. She was always overly loud and smiled too hard, like she was trying too hard to prove her loyalty. I ignored her messages and calls. I finished my lunch and went back to work, acting like my life wasn't falling apart. When I got home that evening, the apartment felt different. Physically, everything was the same. The couch was still there, the throw blanket draped over the arm just as I'd left it that morning. But emotionally, it was like someone had opened a window in winter and let all the warmth out. Jake was on the couch, arms crossed, looking offended rather than guilty. "What was that stunt?" he demanded as soon as I walked in. I calmly set my keys down, took off my shoes, and hung my bag. "Which part?" I asked, my voice steady. "You announcing you were single online, or me agreeing with you?" He sighed, as if I was the one being difficult. "It was just a quote, Sarah. Every guy posts stuff like that. It doesn't mean anything." He rolled his eyes, a gesture that used to seem charming but now made me sick. "You're overreacting." "Fine," I said. Then my response didn't mean anything either. That made him stand up and pace. "You publicly shamed me. You erased me." I corrected him. "I just didn't pretend I didn't notice." He tightened his face. "You always do this. You turn a small thing into a huge drama." I looked at him, really looked, and I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. He was testing how far he could go. He grabbed his bag from near the door. "I'm staying at Lily's tonight. Maybe you'll see how ridiculous you're being when you calm down." I nodded. "Take your time." The door slammed behind him, and I was left in silence. I ordered wings and put on a movie, not really paying attention. 10 minutes in, my phone buzzed. Lily messaged, "Wow, real mature. Real men don't act petty online." I typed back, "Real boyfriends don't pretend to be single on social media." A few seconds later, she blocked me. Then Jake's mom, Mrs. Thompson, called. She had a voice that could sugarcoat anything. I let the phone ring and ring. On the 7th call, I answered. Sarah, honey, she said, as if we were close friends. What's going on? Jake is heartbroken. I leaned back on the couch and stared at the ceiling. He posted that he was single. I just confirmed it. She sighed. You know how social media is. It's just for fun, a quote. Is flirting with other women fun too? I asked. What? Jake would never. I didn't say he did, I cut in. But posting that you're single when you're in a relationship is basically advertising, right? She went quiet for a long, uncomfortable pause. Then she took his side. You need to apologize. He's upset. I said gently, I'm the one who just found out I'm dating a man who wants strangers to think he's available. That's what he posted. Just then, a message from Tom, a friend who worked at the same ad agency as Jake, popped up. Yo, heads up. Jake's been having lunch with the new account exec, Ava, every day this week. They look cozy. Ava was a woman Jake had mentioned casually a couple of months ago, saying she gave him weird vibes. I stared at the message until the words blurred. Suddenly, that single post wasn't just a caption. It was a door he'd been slowly unlocking. I didn't respond to Mrs. Thompson. I opened Instagram and searched for Ava's profile. Her page was public, full of sleek gym selfies, rooftop cocktails, and a work hard, glow harder aesthetic. I scrolled and found Jake's likes. They were consistent, on every post for the past 3 months, especially the early morning gym pictures. And then I saw it. He'd left a fire emoji on one of her posts. It felt like a betrayal in plain sight. I took screenshots, not for revenge, but to have the truth. Around midnight, Jake messaged, ready to talk like grown-ups? The wording made my jaw clench. I typed back, sure. Should I invite Ava or is this just us? There was no reply, just silence. By morning, the apartment felt clean without him. Not physically, but the air was less heavy. I went to work, had meetings, and answered emails, pretending like my world hadn't changed. At 4:30 p.m. Mrs. Thompson messaged, we're coming by tonight to talk. This has gone too far. It wasn't a request. I got home around 6:15, and at 6:27, there was a knock on the door. It was a firm, coordinated knock, like they'd rehearsed it. I opened the door to find Jake in the center, arms crossed. To his right was Lily, full of righteous anger. To his left was his sister, Emily, an older, polished woman. And behind them was Mrs. Thompson, clutching her purse like a weapon. They walked in without waiting for an invitation. Mrs. Thompson sat first. Lily hovered, arms folded. Emily took a seat as if she was about to moderate a negotiation. Jake stayed standing. Sarah, Mrs. Thompson began sweetly. This has gotten out of hand. I leaned against the kitchen counter. What part? Lily scoffed. You humiliating Jake online? I blinked. He humiliated himself. Emily tilted her head. You're fixating on the wrong thing. It was just a quote, a stupid post. It doesn't mean he doesn't love you. Jake finally spoke, his voice tight. You didn't have to tag me. I let out a small laugh. You didn't have to post that you're single. He started to say something, but I cut him off. Don't rewrite it. Jake's jaw flexed. Lily stepped forward. Real women don't act petty like that. You could have just talked to him privately. I shot back, and real men don't act available while living with their girlfriend. Mrs. Thompson's expression cracked for a second, but then she recovered. Jake made a small mistake, and you're blowing it out of proportion. Emily chimed in, he's been under a lot of stress at work. He feels like you two have gotten too comfortable. Comfortable? I repeated. Like stability is a crime? Jake looked at me as if I was supposed to feel guilty. Then, suddenly, he looked wounded. He sat on the edge of the couch, put his face in his hands, and when he looked up, his eyes were glossy with angry tears. Ava won't even talk to me now, he choked out. The room went silent. I stared at him. So, you admit there was something? He rushed to say, no. We were just friends, but she was interested, and now she thinks I'm toxic because of you. Lily nodded like it made perfect sense. Emily pressed her lips together. I took a slow breath. You were enjoying her interest while you were still with me. Jake's face twisted. I wasn't going to do anything. I just liked the attention. Is that so bad? Yes, I said. Next question. Mrs. Thompson gasped. Emily leaned forward. Sarah, you're being cold. No, I said. I'm being accurate. Jake stood up and paced, his voice rising. You don't understand what it's like to feel stuck in a relationship that isn't growing. I laughed sharply. You want growth? You could have tried therapy, communicated, or broken up like an adult. Lily threw her hands up. Oh my God, you're so self-righteous. Funny, I said. I feel the same about you. Emily exhaled and said, look, this is clearly emotional, but we need to be realistic. Jake needs to stay here until he finds another place. I stared at her. You mean in my apartment? She nodded like it was obvious. He can't keep crashing at Lily's. It's not sustainable. Mrs. Thompson leaned in. Honey, you can't just throw him out. You've been together for 3 years. I felt a surge of anger. I'm not throwing anyone out. He left. He walked out to teach me a lesson, and now he wants to come back because Lily's couch isn't comfortable anymore. Jake scoffed. Then what are you doing? I looked at him and let my voice harden. You left. Remember? Lily started to protest, but Emily cut her off. Sarah, don't be petty. I'm not petty. I'm done. Jake's face hardened. Mrs. Thompson's voice rose. This is unbelievable. We were planning Thanksgiving. I blinked. You can still have Thanksgiving. I'm just not hosting your son while he looks for his next girlfriend. Mrs. Thompson flushed. Emily's eyes narrowed. Jake suddenly smiled a cruel smile. Fine, but I'm taking everything I bought for this place. I shrugged. Go for it. He started tearing through the apartment like a storm. He unplugged the blender, yanked the bathroom rug, and started taking the batteries out of the remotes. When he reached for my Xbox, I said, my Xbox. You bought one game. Take that and leave the console. He grabbed the game case and threw it into his bag. They left with trash bags full of his things. At the door, Jake turned back and said, you'll regret this. No one else will deal with your boring self. I didn't flinch. I'll take my chances. After they left, the apartment was silent again. But this time, the silence felt like freedom. Then, my phone buzzed with a notification from Jake's Instagram story. It was a black screen with white text, sometimes the garbage takes itself out. The next slide said, leveling up in every way. And the last one was a photo of him at a wine bar, arm close to a woman, captioned, fresh starts, better vibes. My cousin, Alex, who worked at that wine bar, messaged me. Your ex is here with some girl and he keeps talking about you. I typed back, me talking how? Alex replied, complaining a lot. It's weird. I exhaled and set my phone down. 10 minutes later, Alex messaged again. He keeps saying stuff like, Sarah never took me to places like this. And when his date pushed back, he said, you were intimidated by successful people. I laughed out loud, a sharp, humorless laugh. I had taken him to places like that, and he'd called them snobby. I earned more than him, and he'd joked that it made him uncomfortable. Then Alex messaged, "Now he's saying you were emotionally abusive," and showing her texts. I knew exactly which texts he meant. The ones where I'd asked him to contribute to rent after months of him saying, "I'll get you next month." In his mouth, my requests for accountability became control. I typed, "How's she reacting?" Alex replied, "Uncomfortable. She's asking questions, and he's getting louder." Another message came, "She just left early. He paid for his own drinks only." I let out a breath. Good. But then, now he's hitting on me. I snorted. "Tell him you're my cousin." Alex had already done that. A few seconds later, he turned red and bolted. I sank into a chair and laughed, this time a softer, sadder laugh. Even when the universe gave him consequences, he still managed to humiliate himself. The next morning, I got a LinkedIn message from Ava. "Hey, Sarah. This is awkward, but I wanted to clear the air. I didn't know you and Jake were still together when he started talking to me. He told me you'd been broken up for months and that you were unstable about it. I've told people at work the truth. Also, he's been calling you emotionally abusive. I don't believe that, but I wanted to warn you. I'm sorry." I read it 3 times. I replied, "Thank you for telling me. I appreciate your honesty." Then I screenshotted everything. By noon, my anger had turned into control. I posted a gym selfie with the caption, "Single life feels good," and tagged Jake. Within the hour, I was blocked, but not before Emily slid into my DMs. That was unnecessary. Jake is already struggling. I typed back, "So was I." When he pretended to be single while living with me. 3 quiet days passed, and then on Friday evening, I came home from work to find 2 suitcases outside my apartment door. Jake was pacing in the hallway, his eyes red. When he saw me, he collapsed into tears. "Sarah, please. I messed up." I stopped short of the door. "We can talk here." He twitched. "Can we at least go inside?" "No." He swallowed hard. I got kicked out of Lily's. Her roommate came back early. And Ava told everyone at work about our date. They're calling me a home wrecker. I raised an eyebrow. "You were one." He snapped, "I have nowhere to go. My mom's place is too small. Emily lives with her boyfriend, and I miss us." I crossed my arms. "You miss free rent." His eyes went dark. "You owe me. I wasted 3 years on you. I decorated this place." I said calmly, "You made it convenient. There's a difference." My neighbor, Mr. Brown, a middle-aged, permanently unimpressed man, opened his door. "Everything okay, Sarah?" "Yeah," I said. "Just explaining to my ex why he can't move back in." Mr. Brown squinted at Jake. "Oh, the one cheating with that Ava girl? My wife saw it all on Instagram." Jake's face went red. "I wasn't cheating. I was exploring options." Mr. Brown nodded slowly. "Sure, man." And went back inside. Jake turned to me, his eyes wild. "You did this." I said, "No, you did." Then he said, "I'm pregnant." I laughed out loud. "No, you're not." "How do you know?" He demanded. "Because we haven't slept together in 2 months. You were always too tired. Remember?" A security guard rounded the corner, summoned by the raised voices. Jake tried one last time. "You'll never find anyone like me." I said, "That's the goal." An hour later, Mrs. Thompson called. "How dare you humiliate Jake like that? He's desperate. You've ruined his reputation." I said, "He showed up uninvited and lied about being pregnant." That's on him. He needs somewhere to stay. She inhaled sharply. If you take him back, I'll cover his rent for 3 months. I went quiet. So, you're offering to pay me to date your son? There was silence. That's really sad, Mrs. Thompson, I said, and she hung up. I thought it was over, but 2 days later, my sister, Lisa, texted me a link. Jake had started a video series on Instagram and TikTok called Dating After Toxic Relationships. I watched the whole thing, not because I wanted to, but to see how far he'd go. Each video was full of vague complaints, like she got upset when I expressed my truth and she tried to control how I presented myself online. It was clear he was trying to rewrite our relationship. Then I was added to a group chat called Concerned Family and Friends. It included Mrs. Thompson, Mr. Thompson, who had been silent until now, Lily, and Emily. Jake's message at the top said, "This is an intervention. Sarah needs to take accountability for the emotional harm she caused." I felt my pulse slow. I posted screenshots one by one, his Instagram post,